What's up everybody, the Game2K2 here again, and I'm here for another video game look back, and today we're actually going back to the very first game that I ever reviewed for my show, and that's Max Payne. And to be quite honest, I wasn't originally supposed to be doing this today. I wasn't supposed to be doing this until February, because today I was originally supposed to be releasing my panel videos from Albuquerque Comic Con, but I'm having hard drive trouble. The videos are not converting the way I want them to, so I'm pretty much stuck trying to fix them, and I figured while I'm fixing them I might as well do this to buy time. And I've always wanted to do this, mainly because when I did the original reviews a year and a half ago for Max Payne 1 and 2, it was mainly because Max Payne 3 was slated for that year in 2010. But unfortunately, as we all know, that wound up not happening. The game went on a very long delay, and it's finally set to release March of this year. And I really want to go back and look at these games to see if they hold up as well as I remember them holding up. And I know it was a year and a half ago, but as we all know, a year and a half is such a long time for the video game world, and games that held up well last year might not hold up so well now. So I really want to go back to these games to see if they do hold up well. And yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. And by the way, this is the Xbox Live port of this game, so this is literally the original Xbox version. So yeah, let's begin. Now, Remedy still calls Max Payne the toughest game they've ever had to work on. It was a very long 4-year development for Max Payne. It started development in 1997 and wouldn't end until 2001. And the game got revamped several times during that development. It was originally... what's really interesting about it is that, you know, if you were to compare the E3, the 1999 E3 trailer to the final version of this game, they don't look like identical games at all. They look like complete polar opposite games. In fact, I believe, according to sources, Remedy had originally intended this game to be just a straight action game with a little bit of story thrown in, but they later reversed it to where it was a very story-based game with a little bit of action thrown in. It's still mainly an action game, you know, but it's really kind of a 50-50 split in between the action and the story, which is very unique for video games. I love this opening scene. It's the game's story starts you off from the very end of the story, and then Max, you know, tells the story from the beginning. So that's Max's character literally narrating the entire thing. It's a great story too. This was written by Sam Lake, who was also modeling for Max in this game. That's literally him on the screen right now, in the loading screen. Did a great job modeling too, and Max's character is voiced by James McAvery. It's just so well told. Even to this day, I don't think I've seen a story quite as detailed as Max Payne. A couple stories have come close. You know, the Call of Duty series has always been very detailed, and Gears of War has a very detailed story to it. LA Noire, in my view, is the closest in terms of story. LA Noire was also very good, which is ironically also made by Rockstar, who did the ports for Max Payne 1 and 2. Which, by the way, Rockstar was not originally a part of the team when Max Payne was in development. They always had planned a console port of Max Payne, but several developers came into the project and then dropped out due to the long development phase. And Rockstar came in 2000 when the final version of the game looked like it was coming. So they joined the team and created really great ports of the game for the Xbox and the PS2. And before I discuss, you know, the gameplay as we enter the gameplay here, I gotta bring up Max's dialogue, mainly because a lot of people think think Max is just this character that speaks in metaphors. That wasn't really the case in Max Payne 1. He doesn't really speak in a lot of metaphors in the first Max Payne. It was mainly the second game where where they really upped that element of his character, and I always thought that was because Sam Lake was always trying to fill in gaps, because he really didn't have as much time to develop the story for Max Payne 2 as he had for Max Payne 1. So I always thought he just added, more metaphors and more things for Max to say to kind of fill in a lot of the time. This is unique at the time, too, for games at this point, being able to manipulate a lot of the objects. Like I'm turning on this TV. That was very unique at the time. Looking at this game graphically, mainly the environments, this game actually does hold up very well. These couches look good. The table looks really nice. The papers, you can actually read, what the paper's saying for the most part. Pictures on the wall, really well detailed. Usually for lookbacks like this, I might skip over the cutscenes, but I really can't with Max Payne. I love these cutscenes. I love the story, and I really hate skipping over any of it. Now this is different from the PC version, because I believe in the PC version you can actually see what's going on in the room from this door. Now we enter the action here. Pretty self-explanatory. Just shoot everything that's in your path, pretty much. To be quite honest, it took me years to figure out that was Baby in that crib. It might seem like many of you might think, you should have figured that out faster, but because the character models are the least impressive thing in this game, it took forever, for me to figure out that was a baby, because it doesn't look like a baby. Not even the arm sticking out doesn't even look like a real arm. Okay, let's shoot this guy. There we go. Now, according to sources, from what I can gather, Max Payne's story was not originally this detailed. Sam Lake was still wrote the story, but when the game went back into development and Remedy really wanted to revamp the game, they asked him to add more to the story. And I actually kind of glad they did ask him that, because the story turned out to be the best element of the game. And again, I would skip over these, but this is so well written. I love these graphic novels. I don't know who made these graphic novels. I can't figure out the name right now, but you know what? They deserve the most credit, because these turned out really well, and they even look great in Max Payne 2, even though the graphic novels didn't play quite as big a part in that game as they did here. Now, this is the only thing that separated the console version from its PC from the original PC version, and that was loading times. PS2 was a little more severe with the loading times, but the Xbox and PS2 versions, because they wanted to fit this game onto the PS2 and Xbox, they had to create these loading times, which happen a lot more frequently than they do on the PC version. But because the gameplay still is pretty much identical on all versions, the loading times really didn't matter. Okay, just so we can get to the gameplay here, we'll skip over that. That's actually another difference between, small difference between the console versions and the PC version. The original PC version actually showed the outside of the subway station before entering into the subway itself, the train itself with Max Payne. They eliminated that in the console version for some reason. I don't know why. Now, going back to the graphics of the game, it's kind of ironic that while the environments are one of the best elements about the graphics of the game, the character models are the least impressive elements of the game. Max doesn't even look like a human being; he looks like a cardboard cutout, and that pretty much it's pretty much how the rest of the character models are too. And it's kind of sad that they ended up as bad as they did. Now, the aiming in this game is slightly flawed. You don't have to be dead accurate with the aiming to actually nail your enemies. You could actually be aiming slightly left or right of them. Before we wrap this up, I might as well show you the bullet time. The bullet time, as we're looking at now, was added very late in development with this game. Max jumping to the side was always in the game. Literally, if you watch the 1999 trailer, him jumping to the side and jumping backwards was always in the game, but the bullet time was mainly added due to the popularity of The Matrix, which had released in 1999.